Now, if Christ is proclaimed as raised from the dead, how can some of you say that there is no resurrection of the dead? But if there is no resurrection of the dead, then not even Christ has been raised. And if Christ has not been raised, then our preaching is in vain, and your faith is in vain. For if the dead are not raised, not even Christ has been raised. Note what Paul said in verse 13. But if there is no resurrection of the dead, then not even Christ has been raised. He did not say, if Christ has not been raised from the dead, then there is no resurrection of the dead. It's the other way around, meaning that resurrection was present before Christ was raised, and Christ was raised because resurrection was present. And resurrection, the word means a standing up again. Now here's the amazing thing. The divine and universal principle of sowing and reaping is the principle of resurrection. Here's confirmation. But someone will ask, how are the dead raised? With what kind of body do they come? You foolish person. What you sow does not come to life unless it dies. And what you sow is not the body that is to be, but a bare kernel, perhaps of wheat or of some other grain. But God gives it a body as He has chosen, and to each kind of seed its own body. What does Paul refer to in these passages if not the resurrection of the dead? And if one is dead and raised from it, are they not standing up again? Isn't this the result of any seed planted in the ground? Note what we find a few verses later. So is it with the resurrection of the dead. What is sown is perishable. What is raised is imperishable. It is sown in dishonor. It is raised in glory. It is sown in weakness. It is raised in power. It is sown a natural body. It is raised a spiritual body. If there is a natural body, there is also a spiritual body. As shown, I've inserted standing up again wherever the word raised is used. Strong's defines this as to waken or rouse, as in from death. Now, here's what Jesus taught regarding a seed. Truly, truly, I say to you, unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it bears much fruit. Christ is clear. A grain or seed of wheat cannot bear fruit unless it falls into the earth and dies. Might this simple understanding, which is obviously the concept of sowing and reaping, explain why death exists? Now, consider what Jesus follows with. Whoever loves his life loses it, and whoever hates his life in this world will keep it for eternal life. Keeping with this, we find the following in Matthew. Then Jesus said to his disciples, if anyone desires to come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whoever desires to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. For what profit is it to a man if he gains the whole world and loses his own soul? Or what will a man give in exchange for his soul? Do you see where, regardless of our choice, we lose our life or soul? Does this not equate to death? And isn't the death or dissipation of the seed required before another body breaks out of the ground? So when death entered through Adam or the natural man, does it not make sense that our Maker intended it as a prerequisite for life? Does this not satisfy the phrase, if it dies in John 12:24, and unless it dies in 1 Corinthians 15:36? So, back to the Garden of Eden. The word Eden means the same as its root, which is pleasure. Wikipedia states that pleasure refers to experience that feels good, that involves the enjoyment of something, while Merriam-Webster says a particular desire or purpose, inclination. Brought together, pleasure can be defined as the fulfillment of our desires. The Austrian neurologist and psychologist Sigmund Freud believed that the pleasure principle is the primary motivating force in human behavior. I wholeheartedly agree, for it fits quite well within the scope of the Garden of Eden. With all of this in mind, consider the following. Do not love the world or the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the desires of the flesh and the desires of the eyes, pride and possessions, is not from the Father, but is from the world. And the world is passing away along with its desires. But whoever does the will of God abides forever. The spiritual meaning of 3 is a complete witness. So here, the Apostle John gives a complete witness of all that is in the world as the desires of the flesh and eyes, and pride and possessions, agreeing with Freud's assessment and the imagery of the Garden of Eden. Might these 3 elements describe what Jesus meant by our life or soul in Matthew 16? Now, take another look at the principle of sowing and reaping. For the one who sows to his own flesh will from the flesh reap corruption, but the one who sows to the Spirit will from the Spirit reap eternal life. What does it mean to sow to our flesh? Would it not mean to fulfill the desires of our flesh and eyes, as John stipulates in 1 John 2:16? Would this not satisfy the meaning of the word Eden in Garden of Eden? But what does Paul tell us regarding the desires of our flesh? He tells us that when we sow to it, we reap corruption. This word meaning decay or ruin. Now, the word corruption has a certain stigma attached to it. However, it is important to understand that despite this stigma, corruption does not automatically mean evil. First and foremost, it refers to what is temporary, for as we know, pleasures we enjoy in this physical realm are just that, fleeting and quick to pass. No wonder Paul wrote the following. For our light affliction, which is but for a moment, is working for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory, while we do not look at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporary, but the things which are not seen are eternal. Still another view regarding Eden as pleasure is seen in the following words from the Lord. Declaring the end from the beginning and from ancient times, the things that are not yet done, saying, My counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure. As noted, the phrase ancient times is the same Hebrew word rendered eastward in Genesis 2:8. So, in ancient times, God set forth many things, not the least of which is the principle of sowing and reaping, that he might do all his pleasure. That's it for this study, but be sure to join me for the next, where we will consider the difference between natural and carnal.